I would like to see the baby.
Go ahead.
Not the mama. You know where you are. You're watching another Fwoosh review. Today we're taking a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Omega, Death Watch Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, and the Client. Ooh, I love it when I can add new, unique characters to my Star Wars shelf. Well, you know me. Well, I'm fairly easy to please when it comes to Star Wars. I also like the upgrades and the deep dives from the books or the comics or something. But when it comes to a full wave of regular mainline Star Wars Black Series where there's a lot of things to add to the shelf. Now, I got these one at a time from Amazon, but you may notice we're missing somebody. Echo is also part of this wave, but I found him at Walgreens long before I got these from Amazon, so there's already a review of that. Go pop in over there if you want to see that. Looking at the packages, it's what we're used to at this point. There's logos and black and more black. Each show that the figure comes from is color-coded. The Bad Batch is like a maroon red. Mandalorian is an orange yellow. I always talk about how plain the background is here. It's just a gray, but really it works in its favor. It makes the figure stand out. Artwork's on the side of the packages. Let's see if I have this in 2119. Hell no. There we go. Now they all fit together. Well, except for the Bad Batch one. On the back, that same artwork just zoomed in a little bit. Bios for each character. And then there's the bios for the other two in case you want to pause and read those. Warning, small parts. You know the drill at this point. I don't even have to say it anymore, right? Don't put them in your mouth. On the other side, Star Wars logo, a little hint of color from the front, more window, even more window on the top. Does anybody have a display like this where they have the boxes on a shelf and then LEDs coming across the top? On the bottom, legalese, barcodes. Let's start with the Client. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited about putting him on the shelf, but when it comes down to it, it's an old dude in some regular Star Wars clothes. Not that I have much room to talk, and I was essentially right. It's an old man in some Star Wars clothes, but there's just something about it now that I have it out of the package. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think, well, I don't know. It's recognizable when it comes to the sculpt, and I hate to say that it's not reused because of how plain it is. It could be, at least the pants and maybe the boots. They're very Imperial officer, but I can't find a figure that matches up to that. Is this a unique sculpt for the Client? That's crazy, especially since it's going to be covered up by the trench coat most of the time. Nice texture to it, makes it pop a little bit. Have kind of a band section around the elbows just to break it up a bit. Come down to the sleeve, and then that also has some texture to it that's slightly different from the coat. Definite contrast from the smoothness of the pants. Have a band down the side like we usually see with Star Wars. Some wrinkles around the knees. The boots, fairly clean. Again, like I said, that very Imperial feeling. I love the copper of the belt for some reason, though. It stands out. Well, okay, it doesn't stand out. It fits in with the rest of the costume. It blends, but it's just a neat little effect. This cord running from both sides of the jacket with the fur up on the top, it feels like a separate piece. I think that's glued in right there. Nice sculpt to the Imperial medallion, which is a completely separate piece. That does like to flop around when you're, especially when you try to, I don't know why it does that. So anytime you go to move the legs or the arms, this likes to, but once you get it under the jacket right there, it lays really, really nice. But the focal point is the head, and I really like the likeness here. There is that shininess to the photo reel we've been seeing a lot, though, and I wish there was more of a wash to the hair, make that stand out a bit more. I feel your pain, buddy. And see me just rotating it around has the metal stuck out again. I don't know why I'm fighting it. I'm about to show you articulation. It's going to go all over the place. For that articulation, there seems to be, a dumbbell joint up at the top of the neck and then a ball joint at the bottom going down into the body. Can look up, a little down. Look at all the tilt. He just wants to see the baby. Then, of course, look left and right. Pin at the shoulder rotates all the way around. Hinge on the end of that goes up. Hinge and swivel at the elbow goes to 90. Sculpt gets in the way right there. Rotates back and forth. Swivel at the wrist with a hinge up and down for a trigger finger hand, even though he doesn't come with a gun. Side to side on the left. Ball joint at the waist does go back way further than it goes forward. Nice tilt though. I have noticed that he favors his right a lot. It wants to go here for neutral position. Some swivel. Ball coming out to the hip, goes up to 90, goes back, out. Oh, look at that. Swivel at the thigh. Hinge and swivel at the knee. I'd call that 90. Then rotates. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward, and that's very, very smooth. And then front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, comes with a tracking fob. It's got the red light on it, and actually there's some silver, or is that black paint on silver plastic? Yeah, that works. Also comes with a couple of stacks of Beskar. You can see the waviness, that design work that we saw in the show, and even a teeny tiny Imperial symbol right there. You have to have something to carry those in, so it comes with the Camtono, or the ice cream maker. Nice detailed sculpt with seam lines and everything, and there's even some touches of paint here and there. And we have seen this before from SH Figure Arts, but there it came with two versions. One with this open, one with it closed. Here, Hasbro gave us the option to do it all in one piece. These are super tight. There's a tab up at the top going in, and the first time I did it, it twisted like that, and I thought, oh, I broke the hinge, but it's actually a rubber piece down there. So it should work for a good long while, unless you just go twisting it all the way around. Ooh, and look at that. That is pretty sweet. Can we get both in there? Oh, hell yeah. Perfect storage space for it. Just for size reference, here is the SH Figure Arts, here is the Hasbro. This kind of worries me, though. The handle is just a thin piece of plastic. You have to get the hand flexed in there before it closes up. But once you have it in the grip, it's not going anywhere. The first version of Mando, that hand is way stiffer, but you can still get it. Maybe that's why they made it flexy, so it'll just kind of go around. Same thing, though. Tracking fob doesn't go in either of the hands. It's a little too thin. And it looks like in my rambunctiousness, probably during articulation, I popped this side of the cord out. Doesn't look like it was glued, but there is a mushroom head to it, so I guess it just, yeah, pins back in. It pops back out, but stays unless you get really crazy with it. Let's open up Omega next, or Omega. And again, it's not a popularity contest. I just have ones I was looking forward to more than others, but at the same time, I need this for Bad Batch. So, yeah, perfectly welcome. If I could get into the package, there we go. Okay, first impression, it's odd. This feels almost like a 3 3/4 inch figure, which I guess size-wise it is, but scale-wise, it definitely fits into Black Series. Like the Client, kind of simple. It's a kid in Star Wars clothes. Overall, Hasbro's done that thing they do with Black Series where they take an animated design and shove it into the real world. Add some realism to it. There's still some smoothness to it, but there's wrinkles here at the top of the boots. Same thing, but a little more slight on the sleeves, at the elbows and around. Don't get me wrong, there's still a cartoon feel, but they've made it fit in with the rest of the Black Series. You could put this with the Bad Batch, or you could put it over with your A New Hope crew, or wherever. Little flare there at the belt with those two loops, and that's on the back too. Then the boots have some kind of angular design right there, just to change it up. Oh, and there's a toe guard and coming up on the sole. But again, at the face, yes, it's shiny. I'm going to end up hitting all of these with dull coat, but it's definitely Omega. Eyes are nice and clean. The silver pops. That's almost chromy. Maybe the shininess works in its favor there. And then the blonde hair kind of in a swoop back. Again, maybe a wash to help bring out that detail. That's usually my complaint with hair in general. Yeah, it's not bad. The lower tunic or shirt or whatever, it is split on the side, so it will get out of the way of the legs for the most part, but there's still going to be some resistance. Oh, rebellion. I don't have a lot more to talk or complain about. This does make me want an Anakin from episode 1, though. Going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck with a ball going down. Can look up and look down. Tilt. Rotation. Pin coming out to the shoulder, rotates around the top of the clothing, is sculpted to come over the shoulder, so it will kick out. Hinge at the shoulder, comes up. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, slightly past 90. Rotates. Rotation at the wrist, and although there's no trigger, there is an up and down hinge for some weapon wielding. Left is side to side, and that's a lot of range. Ball joint at the waist gets some nice hula hoop, tilt, tilt, forward, back, rotation. Ball coming out to the hip allows the leg to come to here. Back, out. Again, not terrible at all. Swivel at the thigh, hidden just barely behind this. It's kind of perfect placement there. Hinge and swivel at the knee comes up, again past 90. Rotates in and out. Hinge at the ankle goes all the way back. Forward, front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, comes with Ruby, the little lizard thing that kind of connected with, what episode was that? There was some spice stealing in there, wasn't there? Good sculpt, kind of scaly, kind of feathery. It's hard to tell what's going on here. I keep thinking that the head is upside down, like this should be the mouth. Doesn't that look better? But the mouth is actually right here. So it makes sense. Well, do that and it looks pretty good. That throws me off. It's that. There's the tiny stubby legs, and 2 of the feet are sculpted flat. The other 2 are kind of grabby, like there's a walk going on. They did put a ball joint right here where the blue meets the green, but you get this and this and this and this, so it's not a lot of tilt, just rotation. You do that, it can't stand. Do that. Essentially, they put the articulation there just to say, hey, it's articulated. There's also this breathing filter. I can't remember what this thing's called. It's a mask of some kind. Nice little sculpt. There's some silver paint here, some white paint there. The first time I went to put it on, though, I did this. And I was like, wait, this sucks. But if you do just a slight push to it, get it up under the chin, it's a good fit. In fact, it's not going anywhere. Then there is her bow thing, and I'm not quite as enamored with this as I am with the mask. Yeah, it's cool looking with the golds and the purple light beams running everywhere. It's just kind of awkward, I guess. Thankfully, like the Client, the hands are pretty soft here. Get that, then this grip back here. More elbow range would get this closer to a face and feel more like a traditional bow stance, but yeah, it's not terrible, but I wish there was a folded down version for vanilla posers. Also, for some reason, this comes out, which I can kind of see, I guess, if you wanted the arrow shooting out. This also comes off. I would think that would be glued. Oh, well, I guess that wouldn't shoot out with that gold piece on there. That's actually part of the bow. On top of that, it's kind of loose. Of course, it's not going to fall off. Next up, let's look at the Death Watch Mandalorian, who I'm guessing is also going to give us another character later. And dang, it's another unique figure. When we first saw this, we thought, oh, another Mandalorian. It's going to reuse some parts from other Mandalorians from other sources that we've seen mixed and matched before. But I am 90% sure this is 100% new. It's very similar to the Din Djarin's that's come before, but I can't find anything that matches. Like the thigh pad here, same shape. And in pictures, originally, it was like, oh, okay, it does reuse that, but it is much bigger. For the left, for the left, we actually go to the Beskar, and again, very similar, but different. You can see between the seam and the edge that the Death Watch has much more meat to it. Different knee pads, and then they doubled up on that side. And it's a completely different shape from the deluxe Boba Fett. Completely different boots with this kind of band around the top and a baggy look underneath. Completely different gauntlets and shoulder pads. Again, same shape. The Death Watch goes to the new school hoop around the shoulder peg. So it's all rubbery, gets completely out of the way, stays out of the way. Death Watch has more of a kick down right here, and this center design is way more concave than this one, not to mention the missing damage. The base body under all the armor is very similar too, but again, it's the same planet. Din is much more wrinkly and textured, whereas the Death Watch has this seam running right here. This is missing this extra whatever this is hanging down on Djarin. And then at the arms, I had to double take. It's different wrinkles, and this crisscross cushion pattern is much tighter on the Death Watch. The helmet, oh yeah, it's definitely different here. And it's not quite the Mandalorian Loyalist either. It's closest to the deluxe Boba Fett. As far as I can tell, the base sculpt is there, but it's missing this ding. But where Boba Fett had a completely different head underneath and the helmet glued on top, at first glance you think, oh, well, there's the chin. It's a head under there, but it's not. It's one solid sculpt, which is cool because with Boba Fett, when it's glued wrong or in the package, it was deformed. Here, you're not going to get that. It's going to be this shape when you open up the box. There's also this new belt with the pouches and the buckle and coming around to here to the holster that comes down and is strapped around the leg, and that actually goes under this thigh piece. Like I said, I think this is completely new sculpt, which is fantastic because now it fits in better with the rest of the Mandalorian figures. Because the Loyalist was based on the Jango body, which is several years old at this point. So that was clunky and chunky. This cuts a much meaner silhouette. I can already tell I'm going to need a few of these. Going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck with a ball going down into the body. And for a dude in a helmet, look at the up and look at the down and look at the down. Left and right, I mean, all over the place. It's beautiful. There's a hinge at the rangefinder. Very tough to see, but there is a butterfly joint in there. And when I got this out of the package, I kind of thought there wasn't because it wasn't moving, but finally it broke loose. There's some back, there's some forward. Peg coming out to the arm allows for rotation. You have to kind of push the shoulder pad along with it, or it'll get all gunked up in there because of the ring. Hinge at the shoulder. Hinge and swivel at the elbow comes up to slightly past 90 and then rotates in and out. The swivel at the gauntlet. Swivel at the trigger finger hand that also has up and down, and the hinge on the left goes in. Not bad dumbbell at the mid-torso. Ball coming out to the hip goes to here, and that's with the holster on it. Goes to, well, not a lot of back. Out, not shabby. Swivel at the thigh, nicely hidden behind that armor. Hinge and swivel at the knee, and then rotates in and out. Hinge at the ankle goes way back. Not not as forward as I like. And then a front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, comes with your standard Mandalorian pistol. This is reuse of the ones that came with Bo-Katan, but I like the gunmetal look. It makes it feel a little more realistic. Got some push, some twist. He's a badass. But if you're not wanting to use that, there's also a holster hanging here with a strap. Push it all the way in, peg the strap back in. Perfect. For some heavier blasting, there is this rifle. It has that familiar Boba Fett feel with that pistol look here, and then the stock attached on the back. You got the scope. I'm not saying this is Boba Fett's, I'm just saying it's that same style. Is bent from being in the package. I guess I'll have to put some heat to that or something. Again, like the others, fairly flexy here. He's not actually gripping the gun. It's just kind of a... it's more like he's dropping it. The hand isn't shaped right to hold this. I mean, it's not bad for an at ease pose, I guess. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's not bad. And then finally, there's the jetpack. And again, very familiar. I feel like we've seen this several times before, but I don't think this is the same sculpt we've seen several times before. If you compare it to what we see with the clones and the Loyalists and the Super Commando and Jango Fett, it's similar, but yeah, definitely different. Ball joint in there that may be kind of stuck by the silver paint. Because I had the same thing on the rangefinder. You can see where it was stuck. Once I broke it loose, it's a smooth move now. You can kind of push these in, pull them out, rotate slightly to the back. I may be just twisting that peg. I don't know. Torso overlay has a tendency to get out of alignment, so you just got to push it down, plug it in. And again, integrates perfectly with the overall look. I like this way more than I thought I would. And then finally, there is Ahsoka. I've liked most of her figures so far, but this is the one I was looking forward to the most. Because this is, well, this is the most live action one. Well, because it is live action. Where am I going with this? Even though Hasbro does a good job of translating the animated stuff to real life to fit in with the rest of the Black Series, you can still tell there's a slight, well, maybe because in our heads we know it's from a cartoon. This, there's an actress behind it. We've seen it in live action, so translating that into action figure form, it settles in my brain a little bit better. And look at this, just stepped right off the screen. The show did a fantastic job of showing Ahsoka aged, you know? There was an evolution. You can look at Clone Wars, you can look at Rebels, and see little design hits that made it through to this one. And in an action figure form, I'm seeing it up close for the first time. There is, of course, her face. It has the white design work on it and the eyes punched in with the photo reel and the lips and everything. This is just, this is gorgeous. I do like the paler blue though. It's not quite as bright as this, but it's more blue than this. And hell, I didn't even remember that she was wearing gauntlets in the show, which again, calls back to her Rebels look. And then the kick guards call back to the Clone Wars, I think. None of the other figures here have these toes showing through the boots. But this belt with the ring in it, again, bringing in the Rebels look. There's the ring. These beads hanging down and the wraps around the upper arm. The tunic look over a shirt comes down through the belt. Well, okay, design-wise, it comes down through the belt. Here, this is all the same piece from the belt to the lower parts. Works around to back here where it looks like she's tied everything up and the ties are hanging down. This is all one piece, but it's painted to look separate to here. And then here, it's very thin strands hanging. So very nice appearance. I like how this works out. Some exposed back right here. Hasbro just went, oh, well, that's a good spot to stick a butterfly joint because... but boom, look at that. Integrated perfectly, which it does work better back than forward, but there's still some extra movement. Then there's the baggy pants, which was the biggest thing. When I looked in the package, I thought there's not a lot of movement there. But then I thought the same thing about the shoulders, and they proved me wrong. The setup is obviously like the Book of Boba Fett's we've seen lately. Big panel coming down in front of the knee, and then it's cut right here to allow for that much knee movement, and then some rotation once you get to that point. Then at the top, there is a thigh swivel, but again, it's hidden by the pants sculpt coming up and over. So it's set up to look good in neutral position, but if you want to get into poses, that works too. Perfect world, there would be some nice scaled cloth here, but that just doesn't happen a lot. I feel like this is the best compromise because honestly, in neutral position, you can't see hardly any of the articulation. There's the ankles, there's the elbows. Everything else is nicely hidden. But for the extra range of movement in certain places, it's blocked here for obvious reasons. There's a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck, ball at the bottom. Because of the head sculpt, it's pretty much locked in position. Rotate to the side. There we go. And there is a little here, but not like we've seen with the others. Again, butterfly joint goes way back, slightly forward. Peg coming out to the shoulder rotates around. Hinge at the shoulder comes up to there. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, past 90, and then in and out. Rotation at the wrist, and a saber-wielding hand on the right gets an up and down hinge. Saber-wielding hand on the left gets up and down hinge. Ball joint at the mid-torso. Again, not bad hula hoop. This is hanging down here. Oh, okay, that flaps up. Ball coming out to the hip. Comes up to there. Back. Out. Even with this hanging here. Swivel at the thigh. Again, hidden back there. Hinge and swivel at the knee. Slightly past 90. In and out. Hinge at the ankle goes to there. And, ooh, to there. Front facing pin for rocker. For accessories, 2 lightsabers. 1 long blade, 1 short. Same for the hilts. Slight curve to both of them. A little bit of gray paint there on the buttons, or, well, diamonds, design work or whatever. And then this one has some black around the grip. And these are not reuse of the older ones. In fact, they are bigger. They're also the widest of the blades. For the Clone Wars, there's the blue blades, and then for Rebels, it was white, but there was a slight blue tint to it. These kind of look like fluorescent tubes. Flexiness to the fingers works perfectly to get them into the grip, and can't complain about that. I mean, some people probably can, but I'm good with that. And you know, it wasn't until I started messing with these that I realized there's hoops right there, and that there's pins right here. So I'm guessing, yep, the blade comes out. Oh man, those are tiny little pegs, which is good. Again, I completely missed them. They're not just blatant in your face, but you also don't want to drop it when you have the hilts on there. Well, okay, maybe they hold on better than I thought. Height-wise, the Death Watch Mando is about 5 and 15/16. Ahsoka is about 5 3/4. Omega is a little under 4.5, and the Client is, well, about 6 and 15/16, which has him fitting great with the Black Series Beskar Mando with a custom head, and then Grief Karga. Omega finishes off the Bad Batch nicely, and you can tell why I think this is going to be Axe Woves, because it fits with Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves. And then here's Ahsoka with, well, Ahsoka from Clone Wars Season 7, and then Ahsoka from Rebels. Again, a nice evolution. You can tell the age differences. But she's also going to fit nicely with the rest of your collection, whether you do Black Series or SH Figuarts. So at the end of the day, another fine mainline Star Wars release. Again, not the most exciting of characters, but the Client is important. He's part of the cast. The Death Watch Mandalorian, I hate to say background character, but it's not like any of them were really at the forefront, but they were important to the story. And again, I'm pretty damn sure that this will be used as Axe Woves later, so releasing it as an army builder first makes sense financially. Plus, I don't mind getting a few of them. Well, I gotta get my hands on more of them first. Omega, as much as they mad dashed to give it, well, it wasn't very fast, but they eventually gave us the Bad Batch crew, and Omega's a part of that. But I still think Ahsoka's my favorite. I mean, from a character I hated early on when I first saw her in Clone Wars, to a character I really liked as time went on. And this is what the main line should be. Unique characters with a lot of new sculpt. As silver lining as I am with the line, even I look at some of the repaints and reissues and exclusives and think, man, we get so much of this. But when something like this comes along, it just reinvigorates. It gets me just excited about the whole line again. Also, don't forget Echo is part of this wave. I feel like he's just left out, but he had a review all to his own. Spoiled. I will say that this is very new Star Wars focused. We got the Mandalorian, we got the Bad Batch, and I think we're gonna get more like prequels and OT stuff in the near future. That's what I'm also excited about. But I don't mind adding to these shelves either. These are great. That's my review. These are great. If you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus if you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel. Patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I still don't know about Ruby. Don't get me wrong, I like adding to the little Star Wars creature display too, or having creatures just on the shelves where they should be. Can't be the only one to think that's upside down. I mean, even the eye, the line over, well, I guess under, makes it look like the top of an eye. Although that's very parrot-like now that I'm looking at it close. Lizard, bird.